Iran spent Saturday publishing the price of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. It spent Sunday replacing the official who published it. Nobody has said whether the price changed. Good morning. It's Monday, August 10th. Here's your weekend, caught up in about 10 minutes. Start with the document. On Saturday, Iran's Supreme National Security Council said the Strait of Hormuz will not open until the United States, in its words, corrects its behavior. Iran's state broadcaster published the statement through the council's secretary, Mohammad Bagher Zolghadr. The conditions run to 6. The United States must never threaten Iran again. It must permanently end the war with Iran and with its allies in the region. It must lift the naval blockade of Iranian ports and pull its military out of the area. And it must completely compensate Iran for war damage, lift sanctions, and unconditionally release frozen assets. Then on Sunday, Iran named a new head of that council, Mohsen Rezaei, a former Revolutionary Guard commander, replacing Zolghadr. Here's where we slow down, because this one is easy to get wrong. That is a leadership change, not obviously a reversal. The statement was the council's, issued through its secretary. Replacing a secretary does not withdraw an institution's position. Zolghadr has not been discarded. He becomes a political advisor to the supreme leader. And Rezaei earlier this month said Iran will never allow an unauthorized route through the strait. That is a harder line, not a softer one. So the conditions were published Saturday. The man who published them was moved Sunday. And nobody, in Tehran or in Washington, has said whether those conditions still stand. We are not going to tell you they do, and we are not going to tell you they don't. As of this morning, that gap is open. Meanwhile, 2 officials described the same relationship in ways that cannot both be complete. President Trump, by phone to Axios on Sunday, quote, "We are low-keying it. We are only semi-negotiating with them. We are just watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact they have no money." He said Iran is in very bad shape and added, "It will work out. It always works out." It's like a chess game. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, the same day, to Iran's Tasnim news agency. Until the violations by the United States come to an end, and the United States compensates for what it has violated, from our perspective, there is no possibility of resuming negotiations. Semi-negotiating is the president's word. No possibility of resuming is the foreign minister's. We report both, we attribute both, and we don't referee. One track is genuinely moving, and it is worth keeping separate. Iran and Oman are negotiating over how the strait would be managed, and Araghchi said Saturday those talks are approaching the final stages, then said in the same breath, quote, "This is not a sign of the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. A deal on managing the waterway is not the waterway opening, and nobody involved is claiming it is." Now the numbers. The United States reinstated its naval blockade on July 14th, after the June ceasefire fell apart. Central Command says it has since redirected 53 ships trying to enter or leave Iranian ports, and the traffic itself. The data firm Cape Lair counted 8 commercial vessels through the strait on Thursday. Before the war, about 130 ships a day made that transit, carrying roughly a fifth of the world's oil and gas shipments. The second story is Yemen. A truce between the Houthis and Yemen's internationally recognized government has largely held since 2022. It unraveled last month. What happened over the past 5 days is why people who watch that country are now using the words civil war again. Thursday, the Houthis hit government positions in Marib with missiles and drones. Here the counts diverge sharply, and we are going to handle that out loud rather than quietly. The Saudi-backed Yemeni Joint Operations Command, the government's own military body, confirmed 17 soldiers and officers killed. A military source speaking to the AFP news agency put the toll at least 58 government troops, and called it one of the deadliest days of the war in 4 years. The Houthi military spokesman, Yahya Saree, claimed the operation killed and wounded hundreds. We are reporting the 17 because it is the most conservative figure that carries a named source, and we are telling you plainly that AFP's source put it more than 3 times higher. We are not splitting the difference. An average of 2 numbers that disagree is a third number that nobody reported. Ansari's hundreds is a claim by the side that fired. It's not a count, and we are not treating it as one. The same day, the fighting crossed into Saudi Arabia. Coalition spokesman Turki al-Maliki said Houthi attacks wounded 11 civilians in Najran, among them a woman and a 4-year-old child. Friday, Marib again. At least 10 killed. Saturday, Yemen's military struck back at what its spokesman called Houthi sites and capabilities. And Sunday, the Houthis hit the Red Sea port city of Al-Makka. Twice. The first wave killed at least 11 and wounded 32, according to a toll cited by AFP. A second wave, Sunday evening, killed 7 and wounded 30, according to Yemen's armed forces. If you saw 2 headlines this weekend, one saying 7 killed, one saying 11, both were right. They were counting different attacks, hours apart. We are giving you both numbers separately, from their own sources, and we are not adding them together because those 2 tolls came from 2 different places. Also Sunday, the Houthis said they hit Saudi Aramco's refinery at Jazan with a drone. Saudi Arabia's energy ministry confirmed a fire at the facility at dawn, said Aramco's own firefighting teams put it out, and reported no injuries. And here's what changes that. That refinery has been shut down since July 27th, after an earlier Houthi attack damaged its gasification complex and its tank farm. Aramco's plan, according to an industry note reported by Reuters, was to finish repairs and restart it around August 15th. It processes 400,000 barrels a day when it's running. It was not running. So a fire at Jazan on Sunday is not by itself oil coming off the market. The open question is whether it pushes that August 15th restart back. And as of this morning, nobody has said. 3 more than what to watch. First from Tehran. Iranian state media released video they say shows Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei. The footage is undated. CBS News reports it is unclear when it was taken, and that CBS could not independently verify it. If it is recent, it would be the first time he has been seen since the war reignited in February. Separately, the Supreme Leader's office said Sunday that President Masoud Pezeshkian had met and spoken with him. That statement also gave no date. Pezeshkian said much the same thing in early May, also without a date. 2 proof-of-life claims in one day. Neither carries a date, and one cannot be verified. We are telling you what was released and what is missing from it, and stopping there, because everything past that point is guessing. Second, the money. At Friday's close, the S&P 500 finished at a record 7,757.64, up 0.62%, capping what CNBC called its strongest week since April. That rally came on a jobs report showing American employers cut 23,000 jobs in July. Normally, weak jobs mean a rate cut is coming. That's not the debate right now. The debate is whether the Federal Reserve raises rates. As of Friday, CME's FedWatch tool put the odds the Fed holds in September at 60%, which leaves roughly a 40% chance of a hike. A week earlier, the odds of a hold were 1 in 3. And further out, that same tool still showed a 55% chance of a rate increase in October, and almost 75% by December. So the market did not rally because a cut arrived. It rallied because a hike got less likely. At the pump, ALA put the national average for regular at $4.04 on Friday. By Sunday, it had eased to $4.01, down about 8 cents on the week, and still about 35% above where it was before this war started. Both of those are true at once, and either one alone would mislead you. Oil rose again when futures reopened Sunday evening. Brent up about 1.2% to $84.58. Third, an attack with no name on it. On July 29th, a drone struck the port of Damietta on Egypt's Mediterranean coast and set 2 oil tankers on fire. Nobody has claimed responsibility. CBS notes it's not clear a drone launched from Iran could even reach that far. 12 days on, the record simply does not say who did it. And we are not going to fill that in for you. What to watch? July's inflation report lands Wednesday. Ellen Zentner, chief economic strategist at Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, put it this way. A weak payrolls print may ease the pressure on the Fed to raise rates in September, but next week's inflation data will still likely be the deciding factor. That's your Monday. Every number checked, every gap named. This is No by Noon. Back tomorrow before lunch.